The revolution will be broadcast.
Doesn't that sound exciting to you?
Welcome back, world, to the one, the only, mystifying Oracle Radio. Your GhostMan, a Demon Hunter show. Demon Hunter!
No, I refuse to go on the air tonight.
You refuse to go on the air? Well, we're getting in studio a little bit late, guys, but rest assured, we are here. Special thanks to all our homes, all our sponsors. Stitcher Smart Radio, Planet Paranormal, Paranormal A, Attentive Home Healthcare, AttentiveHHC.com. Good people ready to help the ones you love, especially if you're in Indianapolis, because that's where they're at. The SYL Project. Give some love, share some love today. The SYLproject.com, guys. Make sure to check them out. Welcome back.
Yeah,
welcome back to studio. Here we go again.
It's a bad day, Sean.
It's a bad day. Why is that?
It's a bad day.
Why is it a bad day?
Because tomorrow is tax day.
You're one of the you're one of the ones that wait to the last minute, huh?
I am. I am.
Uncle Sam hates you.
See, it was worse this year, Sean. It really was worse this year.
Yeah, really?
Because I decided to enter all my stuff in one of those tax calculators.
Oh, really? Okay, all right.
You can find them online. They tell you how much you're going to owe.
Okay.
Or get back.
All right.
So I type it in. And it says I'm going to owe $40 to the federal government, and I'm going to owe $50 to state, something like that.
Right.
So $90. All right,
Okay.
It's a typical night at the poker table. I'm
right.
not horrified. But no, I filled out my taxes.
Okay, good.
And it said I owed $650 to the government.
Okay.
And the state, I owed about another $200.
That's not bad, right? You don't pay all year. Is that the deal?
No, I pay a lot all year. I mean, there's a few things I don't get taxes on, or 1099s, that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah. Is that you got to mail it out tonight by midnight? Is that it?
No. Tomorrow is tax day, so it's got to be out by tomorrow by midnight. Because for some reason the federal government had off on Friday. Thank goodness, because
it's a government job, man.
I didn't have anything ready by Friday. Really, I had my federal, but not my state. But no, man, it's just bad. But fortunately, you've come to the mansion in the woods, haven't you, Charles? Sean.
Oh, I'm Sean. Nice
and
to meet you.
You've met Charles.
I have met Charles. Yes.
Yep, Charles. My housemate. And he buys those. We don't usually give out the names of companies unless they pay us, right?
That's right. Usually don't, no.
But he has one of the well-known tax software programs that you can buy, in the store.
Okay. Yeah.
And so he said, let me figure it out on this. So we sat there and we entered all my information. And by entering all the information on his software, I only owed $14 to the federal, and the state had to give me $35 back.
Okay, yeah. Well,
so it came out okay.
I'm
okay. I'm not frustrated or angry or anything like that.
Everybody's
But it was just, it was a bad day, Sean. It was a bad day.
Yeah, well, you have those every once in a while.
And then I come on the air and you tell me I can't yell.
You can't yell. Yeah, we're trying to check our levels. Trying to be all professional and everything.
I
Hey, we didn't
like
say
that.
Thanks to Spreaker. Yeah, thanks for carrying us, guys. We are on Spreaker now.
Can I stand on the other side of the room and yell? I'll do that.
Yeah, you could do that if you'd like. But, before,
Down
guys...
with government. Down with government.
If you're just joining the Shadow Nation, we've been on almost 10 years on the air. Proud to say. And we used to do like a video/audio show, right, Nathan? We did that for
Yes,
years.
sir. Yes, we did.
Just look us up on YouTube, GhostMan Demon Hunter Show. But now we just do audio. We figured we'd focus it on the audio art. So, it's interesting. You know, we're in this biz for a while, so you go around and you look at these places that list your show. The critics, right?
Yes, I always love checking the critics out and finding them and confronting them face to face.
Yeah, well, there's a new critic in town. And they actually looked, they watched our show, or they listened to our show. And, you know, the shows aren't for everyone.
No.
But
we're certainly not for everyone out there.
No, we're an acquired taste. But there is a lot of people that love our show, and then there's some that don't. And, you know,
that could be said about any show.
Okay, Sarah. But this lady, she was, I guess, a nice critic, because she had posted this. And, you know, oh, by the way, Player FM, thanks, guys, for giving us a good review and posting us on your top American paranormal
radio
shows.
Thank you, Player FM.
Yeah, Player FM did that, by the way. I thought I'd name drop that right before I go into the critic. I was so excited. They sent me an email, and they said, hey, you guys have been up there. I'd reached out to them and everything, and they said, hey, you guys are now up on the and it's this lady that does these blogs about radio shows and everything else. And she had a lot of the serious type radio shows, which we cover all kinds.
We do not belong with.
Yeah, but we cover all kinds of serious topics, guys. But in our way, you know, there's no reason to be a-holes about it. So we I went to her site, Nathan, and I was so excited. You know, I love to hear what the feedback from the people. And I went there, and she said, how she started the article, man, was, in all fairness, I only caught half the show. But it was the X-Files episode with one of my favorite guests, Dean Haglund, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, and she goes, I do love the X-Files, and she went into talking about the X-Files. I thought, well, you know, I guess that could go either way. In all fairness, she only caught half of it, or she was being funny, or she just said, in all fairness, I'm just going to keep quiet and say I caught half of it, and woo, what a great interview or something. I don't know. But she's entitled to that, and you know what, lady? That's good. Maybe she needs to get laid or something, you know?
That's just wrong, man. I don't want to see the review she has on this episode.
Sex is good.
You got to remember, too, folks, Sean and I started the Ghostman and Demon Hunter show to have fun with these topics, because we felt people were taking them way too seriously.
Yes, way too seriously.
So, but if you can't have fun listening to us, then we're the wrong show for you, because we're all about fun here at the GMB Show.
We are about fun. Anyway, Nathan, without further ado, tonight's guest.
Please do.
We're going to do tonight's guest. We're going to do that. Well, we're not going to. You know what I'm saying. Tonight's guest is the founding member of NOVA, the New Orleans Vampire Association. He is a sanguine vampire and a New Orleans-style voodoo artist. I guess that's what you say. He's been a member of the GVC, Greater Vampire Community, since the age of 13 when he was born. Oh, I'm sorry, since 1978, where I guess he was age 13. Tonight, we head to the Big Easy to walk the streets with a modern-day vampire, Balthazar Ashatasan. I messed that up. Ashatasan.
Well, you know, Sean, New Orleans is my favorite city.
Yeah, I've heard that. I heard you like it.
I love that city. I really do.
It's a good city.
You weren't with me the last time I went down to New Orleans.
No, I was not. Your good friend,
Frank
Tadaro was.
And we actually met with sanguine vampires while we were down there.
Sanguine vampire? That's awesome. And I think tonight's guest has been on before.
Yes.
In the past, and you know, we'll get him on and ask him all those good questions about it. But that's intriguing. I mean, who doesn't want to talk to a modern day vampire? You know, and I remember it's a cool story when I was out there, probably I don't know what was it 6 years ago, something like that. Well, more than that. When I went out
7 years ago, we were down there together.
Yeah, when we were filming Extreme Paranormal. But before that, I'd went to New Orleans a couple times, and when I was there was actually a headline that a vampire, and you might remember this, had attacked and killed a couple tourists. Do you remember this?
I don't remember that.
They had caught the perp. That's fancy cop term for perpetrator. See? And they had caught him, and he was a vampire, and I guess he had kidnapped these people and sucked their blood and finally killed them. So,
well, you know, the city of New Orleans used to be the #1 city in America for disappearing people.
I can see why. It's a rough town.
It is.
It's a fun town. It's a magical town.
You know, port cities normally had that problem because people would come in, you know, they'd wait for somebody to get drunk at a bar. They'd wait till they passed out. And when you woke up, you were on a boat. And you were now working for no pay.
Yeah.
You know, and so that happened. It did happen. But it's referred to as Shanghaied.
Shanghaied?
But
now you're getting fancy.
You know, New Orleans seemed to have a really high number for a long time of these people just going missing.
Hey, Nathan, talking of which, we know that the mixed reviews on this, but the new... I just went to see Jungle Book yesterday.
I have not gotten to see it yet. Tell me nothing. La, 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 la.
I'll just tell you that it's a great movie.
Okay.
It's a Disney movie, of course, and it was a great adaptation of the cartoon. I thought it was accurate and very true to the cartoon, and very good, dramatic and fun for the whole family. So that was interesting. But Activision confirms 2 new Ghostbuster games, because I seen the trailer for the new Ghostbusters yesterday. I had seen it before, and people were really shredding hard on it. The critics, like they shred hard on us. But Activision confirms 2 new Ghostbuster games featuring fresh faces, Nathan, coming out to your Xbox and PlayStation.
Yes.
You're not much of a gamer, though, are you?
No, I am not.
I game. I like to game.
But you got kids, you know. I go visit my brother. He's got kids, you know. They play the video games.
That's a good babysitter, yeah. But even without the kids, I would. But the video game publisher Activision recently announced the 2 new Ghostbuster games for consoles, mobile, and PC. The launch of these titles is in celebration of the franchise's return to the big screen. This July 14th, Ghostbusters returns to screens both big and small. That's right. In addition to the new film from Sony Pictures this July, we're introducing 2 all-new Ghostbuster adventures for consoles, Xbox, PlayStation, etc., etc. That's due out, guys, Friday, April 15th. The movie's due out in July. So both games will feature a new cast of rookies as they fight rogue spirits while the now famous Ghostbusters are off stopping high-profile poltergeists. Yeah, so that's going to come out.
Well, you know what? I'm still sketchy on the new Ghostbusters movie.
What don't you like about it? Is it the all-female cast? Is it...
No, I don't mind an all-female cast. I mind that it seems to be a reboot and not a continuation.
It does. And there was so much magic there to do a continuation.
Yeah.
You know, there's no reason that it should have been there. That it shouldn't have been like that, man.
Yeah, and that upsets me, Sean.
Yeah, it did me too.
I'm hurt to the core, Sean.
I seen that for some reason at the very end of the trailer, Penny, the character on there, the African American female, she says the power of Penny compels you. Of course, it's a spinoff of the Exorcist movie or whatever, and she slaps who's the heavyset actress that.
I don't know.
Yeah, anyway. She's in it. She's a pretty funny chick. She was good in Bridesmaids and stuff. She slaps her. And the second slap, she goes, the power of Penny compels you. And the second slap, for some reason, have you ever seen a part of a movie that makes you cringe?
No. Well, yeah.
Yeah. It just makes me cringe like, ooh, that's bad. Like most of our jokes we do on the show.
Yeah.
You know, and man, it just makes me cringe. I haven't seen a trailer.
It took me a moment to get that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't seen a trailer like that in a while. I actually felt sorry for the actress, and I'm no way putting her down. I'm sure she's an amazing actress. SNL, we get it.
Well, if you felt sorry for her, it must have been a good slap there.
Well, no, not the actress that got slapped, not the heavyset white one. The African American female actress that slapped her, named Penny. Her character's named Penny. She just goes, the power of Penny compels you. And it's like, ooh, you're trying so hard. And you shouldn't have to. With a title like Ghostbusters, it sells itself, the franchise.
Yeah.
So
there's a reason I have Crystal Skull vodka on my shelf. It's not because it's the best vodka out there. It's because it's by Dan Aykroyd, people.
Yeah, it's by the Aykroyd. Anyway, Nathan.
Sean Burris.
It's time for G&D Show in the news. Always fresh, always exciting. It's strange and weird, and it's straight from the G&D Show vaults. And it starts right.
Ow!
There you go. New music. You like that?
I like that music.
It's new music, Nathan. There's the G&D Show drink bell, guys. Nathan will remind you all about it.
That's because when Sean and I get the G&D news, we don't read it in advance, which means we make a lot of mistakes. And every time we make a mistake, you take a drink. That means if you're driving in your car listening to this show, please don't play the G&D drinking game. And of course, if you're doing anything important this evening, please listen responsibly.
Absolutely. You want me to go first, or you go first?
You go first.
All right. Well, I found this one intriguing. I actually found it outside of the news story vault. Virtual cremation offers death experience. You heard about this? Have you ever wondered, Nathan, what it would be like to lie down in a chamber in the moments before your cremation?
Yeah.
Well, now you can. Here we go, Nathan. It's probably not for the faint of heart. But an attraction in Shanghai is offering people the chance to experience Shanghai. We used that earlier, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the Shanghai experience. Anyway, it's offering people a chance to experience death and rebirth. They lie down in a mock-up cremation chamber. And I'm serious about this. As simulated flames pass over them. Participants then make their way through a small circular hole, much like an MRI. It's what it looks like, the pictures anyway. And they make their way through a small circular hole to experience rebirth and join their friends. One person who took part in the simulation in the Chinese city was Lu Siwei. Drink up, guys. He said this is really interesting feeling. It's a really interesting feeling. Drink up again, guys. It at least gives you the chance to calm down and brings you back to earth to think about some of life's problems. I think this feeling is different, he says. I would hope so. Well, anyway, when you walk through that...
Having crawled through a crematory chamber, Sean, to make repairs, you're not going to get that sense, really.
Because you used to do that.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, you used to do it, so you've gotten up close and personal than most. Anyway...
Those flames are scary, folks. Trust me. If you actually had to worry about that, because of course, you know, somebody turns on that flame while I'm in there working, I'm a dead man. But they did have fun with me the first time I crawled through. You know, initiate me into the job and slam the door shut and start the machine up. So
you heard some clicking. Click, 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 click.
Oh yeah.
That's terrible. And when you walk through that door, you will experience some changes in your mentality, and it will be different from what it was before you entered. I think it's really great and very worthwhile. Another participant, J.K. Rusing, drink up guys, said, at that moment when everything is completely black, that feeling was really realistic. Yeah, especially at the beginning when I was sitting inside that room and the door opened, I could hear the noise inside and was a little scared. It kind of looks like he's crawling through a mock lady part. It does in the picture.
Well, I'll tell you, it would seem realistic to anybody who lives their lives playing video games.
Yeah, well, there you go. They claim the attraction is about educating people on life, so as one approaches the moment just before they face death, they don't have to think about these problems constantly. I don't think I'll be thinking about it at that moment. Do you think you'll be thinking about it?
No. I think I'll be thinking, you know, what are all these fluffy clouds?
What are these fluffy clouds? Anyway, that's my story.
Hey, Sean, from the Huffington Post, weird news.
Yeah.
Brother freaks out zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
For drugged sisters ride home from surgery. I had to pull this up because this is something I would do.
Oh, yeah, you got to do it.
Yeah. Let's face it, those kids acting funny after dental surgery.
Yeah.
Videos are played out. That's it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Until these two brothers put a fresh, you know, mildly crude and mildly cruel spin on the whole thing.
Yeah.
Convincing their little sister that the zombie apocalypse is afoot.
Yeah.
They really want to embellish it.
Okay.
And they make it realistic. They make a fake radio announcement that they play on in their car.
All right.
And not only did they fool their sister, they also learned her true feelings about the family pet.
What?
If you want to find out exactly how their sister reacted, folks, you have to go to Huffington Post. You have to click on Brothers Convince Little Sisters of Zombie Apocalypse because it's hysterical. And Sean, I'm not going to go into it beyond that, but there's a time in your life where you're sitting there and you think the zombie apocalypse is about to happen, and you just think, "Feed him the cat."
Feed him the cat.
I love my cat, but feed him the cat.
Feed him the cat. Anyway, Nathan, you hear the music, my friend. We're running out of time. I thought we'd want to get this out. Oh, my gosh. It's always time for a J&D Show original series, Rot Talk.
Rot Talk.
Where each week, Nathan and I talk about the show we all know and love, The Walking Dead. And we tell you what we think's going to happen, well, I would say next week, next season, and what happened last week on The Walking Dead, Nathan.
Indeed, sir, and I can't say I'm in love anymore.
Yeah, I heard this. That's what you told me.
I am angry.
You are angry. Why are you angry?
Because The Walking Dead have ended seasons in the past where they wrap everything up.
Right.
And then they know the story is so good, we're going to come back next year.
Yes.
But they found it necessary to dig down deep and mess with us.
Yes.
And not tell... Because... Let's face it, Sean. This is I can't say your name tonight.
Sean?
What is up with that? I have the zombie apocalypse.
It might be.
In my veins.
You might be infected.
But they dug down deep. They reminded us, every chance they got, that there was going to be this whole thing that came up, and Glenn might get it.
Right.
And then they end the entire thing without telling us who actually gets killed.
Yes. But I got to say, that last moment, Nathan, when he was eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by the toe.
He's a fabulous actor, and it was a great scene. I'm not saying it was done badly. I'm just saying they were wrong to do it.
I don't know. People have been saying, mission accomplished, I guess. People have been blowing up Facebook, Twitter, everything else for 2 weeks now. They've been going, for a week, since last Sunday.
I have to say, I'm only going to start watching again next year for Rot Talk.
There you go, Rot Talk. Well, yes!
I will watch The Walking Dead next year for Rot Talk alone. That's the only reason I'm watching.
Have you been keeping up with Fear the Walking Dead?
I have not.
Okay. Well, what's funny, though, about last week, everybody has put that up there with, remember JR from Dallas, who shot JR? Now they're putting it, who killed? Who did Negan kill? So, you know it's worked. And we think we know because you read the comic books, and we've been talking about it for a long time. We've had many cast members of The Walking Dead on, none of which have broke the silence.
A recent interview with the producers have said, if you think you know who died, you're wrong. And if you think you can listen to the final voices, we might just have fooled you. Might not be who we think it is. It might not be who it's supposed to be. But who knows?
I don't know. People slowed it down.
I personally want to see one of the people get killed.
Yeah.
Everybody said, if this person dies, we're gonna riot. Because I want to see the riot.
You want to see? That's all America needs, another riot.
Yeah. We need a riot in this country.
We do need a riot. Anyway, guys, we got to get ready to go to break, Nate.
Okay.
We got to get our vampire friend in here from the Big Easy. That's right. Tonight's guest, he's the founding member of NOVA, the New Orleans Vampire Association. He's into voodoo, guys. He's a sanguine vampire. Belfazar Ashadison stops by tonight. I got to ask him how to pronounce that. So you don't get upset, guys. Get your fangs sharpened because we're heading to the Big Easy tonight, right here on your Mystifying Oracle Radio. GhostMan and Demon Hunter show. You excited about it?
I'm always excited.
I'm always excited about this. You kidding me? We get the best guests
in
the world. Anyway,
I've almost forgotten about my taxes.
Guys, each week we play a new band. We support the little man on this show, a new independent band. Tonight's name of the band is Mom Jeans. That's the name of the band. Name of the song, AO3 Vampires. Shadow Nation, Nathan.
Sean.
We'll be right back. Woo.
We drink the blood of virgins and get drunk in the park. We always pass out dead. We are creatures of the dark, and every single night we raise it from the mire. We're not only lovers, but bloodthirsty vampires. And we're always dancing in the moonlight, with blood on our lips and predatory eyes. Our skin's pale, white, and nails like knives. In the city's dark and alleys is where our passion thrives. And of course, we wear all black and visit local haunts. We howl with the wolves. We do exactly what we want. And when the bars close at 2 a.m., you know that's when the real fun begins. And we're always dancing in the moonlight, with blood on our lips and predatory eyes. Oh, skin pale white and nails like knives. We're fucking in the graveyard, leaving bite marks on my thighs.
And I don't hear when the children cry. When you look at me and I don't see, when your heart is crying, I think beyond nowhere, alone and unable to return close to you. When I speak to you and you don't hear me, when my heart is crying, and you don't see my loneliness, I think beyond nowhere. I think beyond nowhere, alone and never to return close to you. Speak in silence, you don't understand that my heart is dying. think beyond nowhere. I think beyond nowhere. And on the neighbor to return close to you.
Hello, creeps. It's me, John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper. And you're listening to the GhostMan and Demon Hunter Show.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back, Shadow Nation. Tonight's guest is the founding member of NOVA, the New Orleans Vampire Association. He is a sanguine vampire and a New Orleans-style voodoo practitioner. He's been a member of the GVC, the Greater Vampire Community, since the age of 13. Tonight, we're going to the Big Easy, baby, with Balthazar Ashanti, son. I did it, Balthazar. What's going on, brother?
You got it.
I read it. Dead ringer, no pun intended, right? Dead ringer.
My friends call me Czar, though, so you can feel free to call me Czar.
Thank you, Czar. Now, you are a returning guest to the pride of the airwaves, the J&D show. You were on about 8 years ago. You graced our airwaves, and you're still. Are you? Last time we were there, Nathan, who was our friend that does the haunted history tours out there?
Kalila Smith.
Kalila. She's a good friend of yours, right?
Yep.
She hooked us up with you.
Oh, yeah. I love my Kalila.
I think you used to do the tours. You're actually on the, right?
Eons ago.
I know, but that's how I first seen you. I believe your picture was on, I was flying on Southwest Airlines, and I seen a coupon or Groupon or whatever for the haunted history tours, and they had a picture of you sitting on the stairs in a cemetery. You're famous, brother.
That one was fun.
now it's funny too, because we were talking just before we came on the air, folks, and I was talking about my last trip down to New Orleans, and Kalila still hires members from your group, your organization, your community, to work on the vampire tours. Is that
generally
correct?
when you go to haunted history tours and you're looking for vampire history, when you hit the vampire tour, normally it is a vampire that's doing the tour.
Mm-hmm. I see.
And when I went down there, I wanted to interview a vampire. So I was down there with a friend, and she lined us up with a vampire. He came in and did the interview along with his lovely wife. And during the interview, all of a sudden I realized my friend that I was there with kept shifting farther and farther down the seat from me. We were in, I think it was like Rosie's, which is a little bar off a side street, which is one of my favorite bars. And he keeps shifting farther and farther down the seat. And finally afterwards, I get up and I'm like, "What's wrong with you?" He goes, "What's wrong with you? It's like you're a different person when you're around vampires."
Yeah.
Say, well, I used to be part of the community. I guess it comes out when I'm there.
Yeah,
it tends to come out.
And everybody said I belong in New Orleans. They said, "You do not belong up north, Nathan. You need to get back down here where you belong."
Nason. You called yourself Nason. You couldn't get my name.
I did. I can't even.
Your name's Nathan.
It's taxes, Sean. I had a few drinks while I was doing my taxes. What can I say?
Yes, that's always perfect.
Who doesn't have drinks when they're doing taxes?
Do vampires do taxes? Does the government tax vampires too? My God. It's getting out of control.
The government taxes anybody. If they could tax pets, they would.
Yeah, they would.
And it's especially good with vampires because we all know the only two things you can be sure of is death and taxes, so they can tax you forever.
Yeah.
Good one on that one. Yeah. No.
The children of the night get taxed. Anyway, Dracula wouldn't have such a big castle nowadays if he lived in the United States.
No,
he would be the Trump of vampires.
Dracula would actually probably, if it was American tax system, be living in a trailer court in Mississippi somewhere.
He'd be like, blah, this sucks. Yeah, I'm throwing out these zingers, man. I'm giving you guys here.
Founding member of Nova.
Yeah, let's go right into it, man. 13 years old. You knew you were a vampire. Tell us about it. Take us back to the beginning.
No, technically, I didn't know I was a vampire when I first started meeting members.
Okay. Yeah,
and that was at 11.
Wow.
When I came into the community, when I was inducted into the community, I was 13.
Okay.
And by then, I'd already been taught a number of things on how to act, how to deal with others, how to not have to hide what I am, but also not sit there and go, blah, blah, I'm a vampire.
Look at my fangs. Yeah. Yeah, was this somebody in your family? Like, some people have crazy uncles, stuff like that. I mean, who got you involved? I mean, not that that's crazy. Vampires, that's amazing.
Well, you got to understand, there's a whole long story behind it.
I want to hear
it.
Come on, man. I'm talking to the vampire.
Basically, I was a very sickly kid. Okay. I was the short, fat, round, sick kid of the group.
Okay.
So all of the healthier cousins and uncles, when they were younger, just really didn't do me that righteous.
Okay.
One in particular, from my mother's side of the family, was always picking on me and my sister.
Right.
So when he decided, because he was obviously bigger and stronger than I was, when he decided to act an ass one time on a church bus, I bit into him because he had my arms pinned. The only thing I could think of doing was to bite.
Yeah.
I went through his winter coat, his sweater, his shirt, his T-shirt, and into his flesh enough to cause 32 stitches.
Big man fell to the ground, huh?
No, more like they had to try to pry my jaws loose. Think pit bull.
Oh my God, man! So, I mean,
but after that, when the blood hit my tongue, literally, I could see sparks behind my eyes. The rest of the day, the rest of the week almost, I was running around with all the other kids, laughing, playing, carrying on, just like all of them.
Right.
I wasn't wheezing, I wasn't panting, I wasn't running out of breath. None of that. And the lady who was on the church bus, her name was Ashanti Whitemantle. She kind of pulled my mom aside and said, I think you might be kind of like me.
Okay.
So when she did that, she asked my mom permission to kind of take me under her wing, so to speak. And one thing led to another. 2 years later, I was inducted into my first organization within the vampire community, a group that called themselves the Shadows Council.
Okay.
And I've been a part of the community ever since. Now, understand, this was before the advent of the internet and all those miracle things like Google.
The internet
there was a
machine.
time before the internet?
Yes.
We lived
Yes, there was. For all of us old farts in the community, there was a time before the internet.
Oh, yeah. I'm a 70s baby. I remember.
But understand, at the same time, we also worked very hard on what we were doing. Mm-hmm. We kept ourselves really closed into our own little groupings. We had major meetings, but they were always in secret, and they were always in all honesty, imagine, if you will, being a 13-year-old getting to see boobies for the first time.
I love it already.
All right, because most of our meetings were communicated through or held at BDSM events.
What's that?
Bondage and sadomasochism.
Oh, I love New Orleans. I love it, man. I freaking love New Orleans.
Well, try this one on for size. When I first entered the community, I was in Kokomo, Indiana.
Hey! That's my
Not too far
hometown.
down the road from you.
Yeah, I'm in Indianapolis. So there's a strong presence of vampires in the cornfields then.
Yep.
Well, there are
Cornfield
children
Central.
in the corn all the time, Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah, but these children will eat you.
Yes, they will. So, that's an interesting thing. And let's go back. You said you were on a church bus. So that means you were or you are a religious person, yeah?
I don't call myself religious anymore. I'm spiritual.
Uh-huh.
I follow a spiritual path. That path happens to be New Orleans voodoo, but I'm also working on my Haitian initiations.
Okay.
So even though I am a New Orleans-style voodoo priest through initiations in the New Orleans community, I'm working to become an Ungan in the Haitian community as well.
Now, it's very interesting that you say that, because when Sean and I were in New Orleans, having been introduced into voodoo years and years ago, I was asked to perform some voodoo rituals. And I was there with a Haitian priest, and we went over it several times, and I did the ceremony, and he was very happy with the way I did it. And it wasn't until after we performed the ceremony that I really learned that New Orleans voodoo is different than Haitian voodoo.
New Orleans voodoo is very different than Haitian voodoo. Haitian voodoo has a almost strict regimen, and they deal with the law instead of the orisha. But in New Orleans voodoo,
that was the big difference for me, because I went down there and I was doing work with the Loa, and all of a sudden people are asking, "Oh, he didn't do any of this for the orisha," and I'm like, "That's because this is what I do."
New Orleans voodoo in and of itself started off with just the orisha side of things.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the advent of the Haitian Revolution that we ended up bursting our city gates with 10,000 Haitians and the Loa.
Yeah.
So understand, New Orleans voodoo being more the gumbo of all of the voodoo, saw what it was in the Haitian side of things and incorporated it in. We honor the spirits separately, though. So we may have Ilegua and Papa Legba on the same altar because they're both door-opening spirits and spirits of communication, but we treat them as individual spirits.
Yeah, I've got a cool little story to tell you, because you'll find this interesting. I used to live in this little town, and it was a little city, and my house that I lived in was at the corner where the Crips pretty much lined up one side of the street, and the Latin Kings lined up the other side of the street. And
East LA?
I'm sorry?
East LA?
No. It's in Connecticut.
Compton?
Yeah. But I was just living in the wrong town for two little white boys to be living in this apartment.
I guess.
And so we're living here, and all of a sudden, one night, there's a pounding on the door. And I literally place a handgun behind my back, stand at the top of the stairs, and my roommate opens the door. And this guy starts trying to push in, and he's from the Latin Kings, and he's telling us that, what are we doing in his town? What are we doing here? This is his neighborhood. And he pushes all the way through the door. And I'm just about to pull the gun out from behind my back when he looks on the counter. Now, we had rented the house from a Santerían priestess, and there's a statue of a Legua sitting right there on the counter. Mm-hmm. And as he pushes through, he just saw the statue and backed up with his hands in the air and went, no, it's okay. You boys okay. Whatever you want. You just ask for me. And he left.
Well, entertainingly enough, I moved into an area here in New Orleans that's not the healthiest of towns for lone white people to walk.
Yeah.
I've never had an issue, so just understand this. I've never had an issue here, but I've had other friends that talked about having an issue in this area. So when I moved in, like I do with all my places, I did a little voodoo ritual. I started outside my house, walked inside my house, and about 3 months later, I'm coming home after a really hard and long day at Voodoo Authentica, and it's like almost pitch black dark out except for street lights. Middle of winter, and this group of guys is coming around the corner from me, just as I'm turning to go to my house, and all you hear is, "Shit, Voodoo Man!" Like they were gone.
Yeah.
So, understand. It as entertaining as that was, that just shows that there's still this mysterious stereotype that talks about voodoo being a negative religion, and it's not. Everything that I've done in my religion as a voodoo priest is all about healing and protection, helping draw love or money.
Yeah.
I'm not out there, like Marie Laveau from American Horror Story Coven, sacrificing babies to Leguas for a longer life.
Right.
I don't need that. Vampire, remember?
No.
Kid.
Zing!
Sorry. But, the fact that stigma is still there, even with book after book after book talking about, and I'm talking about practitioner-written material.
Yeah.
Not written from outsider points of view. I'm talking about practitioner-written material. You got practitioner-written material dating back from the 50s. Okay. You got books by authors like Maya Deren, Zora Neale Hurston, even Milo Regard, and yet nothing. There's no change in the outlook. Even though these are very popular books and people get them all the time, there seems to be no overall change in the outlook. Right. And I think that's because of how popular it is to demonize any one subject in the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Czar, I gotta ask you. Now, let's get back to Nova. When did you know, and why? How did it come about? How did it get started?
How did what get started?
Nova.
Me being a vampire? Or Nova?
No. The New Orleans Vampire Association. What did you just wake up one day and you said, "Hey, there's others out there, and I want to start a meet and greet group together"? Or?
Well, after Hurricane Katrina, I kind of put out a call to see who would respond to trying to get things more organized and started back up.
Yeah.
Hurricane Katrina kind of ousted a bunch of people from home. But nothing happened. And then in 2007, a group that were from what's called Crossroads Productions were coming in and doing a demo for a wannabe TV show, and that never took off. But at the same time, it brought all of the remaining elders in the city together so that we can sit down and talk. And when we did, we all decided we needed to do something a little more organized, but not in the aesthetic of being a ruling body. So Nova, in and of itself, is a non-body politic, where we don't write rules for the community. We don't care to rule the community. We don't want to rule the community. We just want to work on our humanitarian efforts.
Okay. All right, so you guys got together. Now, that's what I was amazed. A lot of people don't know. You have Nova. You guys do a lot of good things in the community. You're out there. New Orleans, are you accepted overall, do you think, in New Orleans, Louisiana, as vampires?
In all honesty,
mm-hmm.
Every year, 3 times a year, currently, we're hoping to up that up soon, but currently for Easter, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, we are out in Jackson Square feeding anybody who is homeless or hungry.
Okay.
Notice, I did not say homeless and hungry. I said homeless or hungry.
Right.
So if you come up, and I don't care if you're dressed in a three-piece tux or if you're wearing holy jeans.
Yeah.
If you say you're hungry, you're going to get fed.
All right. Do people
we
look
started
at...
this off as a homeless outreach program, but it's kind of expanded over the years. It's becoming a little bit more of a community outreach program than a homeless outreach program. Our ultimate goal is to start our own homeless shelter in New Orleans that will be more than just the regular shelter. It will also add to, it will be kind of like transitional housing as well. People will be able to get into one of the mini apartments and start a rental history.
Right. Now, let's talk. First thing you say vampire. First thing comes to mind, because I've been corrupted, if you will. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've been corrupted by the Hollywood blah blah wild sex,
Don't
which
say
I'm sure
blah blah blah.
Right. Well, Zara
I
just
only
did
say
it.
blah, blah, blah. What I'm saying, I don't say blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, you got the stigma of Hollywood. You got the I'm going to suck your neck, some wild sex, which is awesome. I hear vampire sex is amazing. So,
I think so.
Yeah.
Sean, have you ever had vampire sex?
I've never had vampire sex, but I did see
You don't know what you're missing.
I did see a hot chick not floating. She could have been floating. I think she was a vampire one time on Bourbon Street, or one of the side streets. I took the haunted history tour. She was wearing this Victorian style push-up bra thing, and I was like, whoa, if there is such thing as, being able to entrance someone, I was falling hook, line, and sinker, and then she was gone. She just disappeared. But, the thing about it is the stigma. People get fearful because they know vampires is sucking your blood, coming up, missing all these people. There has to be rules in your group. Because I've seen... Yeah, and how many times, how fearful is
every community has its own rules.
Right.
Whether it's New York, Tampa, Atlanta, Los Angeles, Vegas, Portland, Seattle. Mm-hmm. Every community has its own set of rules. New Orleans a little more fluid because we the Big Easy.
Yeah, that's it.
Y'all coming down here to party. Mm. We ain't gonna tap into our money. Sorry, not gonna happen.
That's it.
But understand, each community has its own set of rules. What flies in New Orleans doesn't fly in New York or Tampa. What flies in Tampa doesn't fly in Atlanta or L.A.
Okay. So, do you guys...
Each community has its own rules, has its own flow.
Here's a little thing to kind of explain this, Sean, too. And only Balthazar is going to get this in this conversation, the other vampires listing.
Uh-huh.
But when I went down to New Orleans and people found out that I had been a member in the New York community, and a certain member had been brought up, and I said I did not support that member, all of a sudden I was accepted.
Okay.
Yay!
Yeah. I told you.
I know exactly who you're talking about. But honestly, each community has its own set of rules and has its own way of thinking and own way of reacting to things.
Well, I imagine...
New Orleans is a tourist town. You do not want to run around attacking tourists. That's not a good thing for the income and stability of your world.
True, yeah. Well, it brings up a good topic. 1984, very little documentation. New Orleans Police Department does have on case file 9 people found with their throat ripped out. Of course, in the headlines, when I was down there, of course, this didn't happen in New Orleans, Rod Farrell. The case in Murray, Kentucky, people's heads bashed in, blood being, sucked or drained or whatever. How do you guys avoid things like this from happening? People like that being drawn to your groups, your clans, or whatever you would say?
Well, honestly, each house has its own vetting process.
Okay.
Like House of Mystic Echoes, 9 times out of 10, you have to be kind of like, I guess the easiest way to say this is on probation for 6 months to a year, depending on how I feel.
Okay.
If you survive the probation process, you might be inducted as a member. And if you don't survive the induction process, and trust me, I've got members around the world, and I keep tabs on them.
Now, do you have rival gangs of I don't want to call it gangs, but I'm sure you have rival clubs of different vampire organizations, yeah?
Oh, all organizations have rival organizations.
How does that work? Is it like the Amish community, like people get ostracized, other vampires won't talk to them, things like that, or?
Oh, there's a lot of things that can happen. We have a term in the community called sin nomine, or persona non grata. These are ways of kind of letting other people know, we're not dealing with this person. We're not naming them. We have nothing to do with this person.
Mm-hmm.
So for that to happen, though, it usually has to be something really frickin' drastic.
Right.
Like plagiarizing somebody's work can get you sin nomine.
Or coming into another city and trying to tell people how to do things.
Yeah, that can definitely get you
okay.
blacklisted. But understand, it's not a thing we take lightly. And Rod Ferrell, if you actually look at the history of how he was raised and who he was raised by, you can understand why he latched on to the game Vampire the Masquerade and went a little bit loopy.
Right.
So the people, what gets me is that knowing that there's a community, and trust me, the police, the FBI, and everybody else who wants to be part of the alphabet agencies knows there's a community.
Yeah.
But instead of going to the community and say, has this person been hanging around you? Do you have any idea who this person is? No, they just lump them all in with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they know there's a community.
So different vampires have different ways of feeding, things like that. What is, in Nova, what is the traditional way that you guys...
There is no traditional way.
Okay.
We have vampires in Nova that are psychic, pranic. Pranic are the sexual feeders in the Nova community. So you have psychic, elemental, empathic, pranic, and of course, people like me, the sanguines.
Mm-hmm.
So, we do not focus on feed type. That is the one thing you won't find in this community. You won't find us focusing on feed type.
Okay. Now,
because we found it to be too divisive a subject.
Now, talk about sanguine for our listeners out there. What is it? What are the different types of vampires?
Well, again, there are no different types of vampires. They're all vampires. They have different ways of feeding, of getting their quote-unquote nourishment, for lack of a better word. Sanguines are blood feeders. We don't know what it is about the blood, or if there is something in the blood that hasn't been recorded yet. We just know that without the blood, something goes amiss in our world.
Okay.
Like me, I'm very, very physical in nature. Everything shows on me. If I'm not feeding properly, my eyes are gray and dull. My hair is limp and lifeless. My skin gets ashy. I literally look like death warmed over.
Right. Well,
others get lethargic, get slow in the thought processes. It affects us all differently. Think of it like a physiological condition, like leukemia.
Okay.
Line up 50 people with the same type of leukemia, And nothing is the same about them except for that form of leukemia. What works for them is not the same. How they feel better is not the same.
Right.
It's a physiological condition.
Can you walk us through the process? I know we don't want to focus on the feeding and stuff, but for a sanguine vampire, can you walk us through a day in the life of how you would feed, the process, things like that?
Well, okay. For example, I tend to use an X-Acto knife.
Okay.
I poke, I don't slice. And I tend to use a clean technique, not a sterile technique.
And what's the difference?
Sterile technique is when you use medical equipment to help draw the blood without touching the blood in any way, shape, or form.
Oh.
A clean technique, I rinse the area, wash the area very well. I rinse the area very well. I use an antiseptic. I make a cut. I drink directly from the person. I clean the cut, and I watch the cut for the next 3 hours.
Okay.
In 3 hours, if the cut starts to turn red around the edges, it's because that it wasn't cleaned properly, and I have to go back in and clean it and redo everything.
All right. What's the do vampires feed off of other vampires, or is there partners specifically for the feeding process?
I do not feed off of other vampires.
Okay. And why is that?
Are there others that do? Yeah. Well, think about if it's already lacking in my system, and I feed off of somebody who has a similar lack, what's it going to do for me?
Yeah. Drain one to feed another. You're right.
Yeah, robbing Peter to pay Paul, and it just don't work.
Mm.
Sooner or later, both of them go down.
Right. So, how do you bring the people in that would volunteer for that?
We call them donors.
Okay.
And if you think about nature, nature abhors a vacuum. So everything nature has created has an equal opposite to it.
Do you ever find people who are donors who want to join the vampire community, but they're simply not, they don't have the spiritual energy to be vampires?
Most donors don't have the spiritual energy to be vampires. You have donors that will, over the course of their interactions with the vampire, you will see them start to become like the vampire. You have we also could be the catalyst for their awakening. We don't turn somebody.
I had a question for you because the last time you were on, we had discussed different social events that the vampires hold. And I wondered if they still hold the vampire balls.
Yes, we do.
And
We
is there
even
any
have
chance
one
Sean and
in
I
town.
can come to a vampire ball?
Always. Always.
There you go. It's open to the
We have,
public.
remember, we have the Anne Rice Vampire Ball. We have the, we have Bad Things Ball, which is a locally owned and locally operated ball. We even have the Witches Ball down here every year at the same time. All of these events play out Halloween weekend.
Yeah.
Which is, from what my friends tell me, is the one time, if you're a resident of New Orleans, if you don't have someplace to be, get out of town.
No, that's Mardi Gras.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Halloween, I understand, is even worse at times.
No, I've never had a problem with Halloween. Most of the people I know never had a problem with Halloween. It's
I've done
it's
Mardi
like
Gras. I'll
Christmas
never do
for
Mardi
us.
Gras again.
Halloween for us is like Christmas. So it's a really good time for us.
Oh, I bet. Now, being in the vampire community, and you might not be able to tell me, I don't know, because I know the Nova has rules and secrecy. What is the strangest thing that you think you've ever seen in this community? Because people would think of it as a magical thing, supernatural, if you will. What, if you can tell me, what's the craziest thing you've ever seen in the community, the vampire community?
Vampires on ghost hunts.
Okay. How's that work?
That is the most intense spiritual time you will ever have. You want to see a group of orbs? Get 3 or 4 vampires to go with you on a ghost hunt. For whatever reason, in any group we've ever been a part of, it always brings the dead.
You think maybe that's an attachment to the blood, life force, something like that, maybe?
I think it's more an attachment to our ancestors.
Okay.
I think vampires are closer, if you want my honest opinion, to honoring the way their ancestors did things than most average people.
All right.
We don't balk at all the things that most people like. You won't see vampires come, oh, he's queer, let's get away from him.
Right.
You know, you won't see that in the vampire community. You won't see vampires go, uh-oh, did you see that African American over there?
Right.
What you'll see is, hey, come on, let's go this way.
Yeah. Very loving, very open.
Yeah. Let's have this drink. Let's do that.
Right. How many times do you...
You still have racists, just like you do in every group. You still have idiots, just like you do in every group. But for the most part of all the people I have met in the vampire community, we are accepting of everybody who walks in that is a vampire. Now, we used to have this thing we used to talk about all the time in the community called the beacon. A vampire will always know when another vampire is in the area if they keep an open mind. The moment they walk in with a prejudiced view, they're automatically going to think the person that's sitting across from them giving off a beacon is a fake.
Yeah. How many times do you say you would feed? You need to feed. And do you eat?
In all honesty, it depends on how busy I am through the week. It depends on how much energy I expend during the week. Remember, I also work as a voodoo priest at Voodoo Authentica, so I expend a lot of spiritual energy.
Yeah.
The more energy I expend, the more I need to feed.
Okay.
So, on an average, 1 to 6 ounces of blood 3 times a week.
Wow, that compared to what I've seen in the past, that's a good amount.
It's a good amount.
Yeah. So, you know, what's your diet like otherwise, besides the blood?
Well, let's put it this way. Some friends of mine said, if I ever had my own TV show, it would be sponsored by Coca-Cola and Little Debbie.
So a sweet vampire.
I love candy, cookies, cakes, creams. Yeah. But also lots of protein. I eat lots of meat.
You have to
red meat, pork, any of it.
Yeah.
You have to answer this for me. Having been in the community, I have never met a vampire who doesn't love sweets. Have you?
2.
Really?
My entire time in the community. 2.
I mean, it's insane. I mean, you'll go to talk about the balls and parties and just gatherings of
wait a minute now.
And there's
Just
always sweets out.
There's always sweets. But just to kind of give you a hint at how factual that is, Nova meets regularly at a place called Gerald's Donuts in Araby.
Home of the vampire. Gerald's Donuts.
I really do just need to move to New Orleans, don't I?
It would be a good thing.
Yeah.
And we got District Donuts in town now. So District Donuts is the number 2 rated donut shop in the U.S.
All right.
Here's another little...
It's like...
Go ahead.
It's like 8 blocks from me.
Oh, wow.
Here's another little joke that is aimed for you, Balthazar, but everybody will get this one. I'm an exterminator now, and people have often said, Nathan, don't you get upset working with rats and having to kill them? And there was just a long pause.
And that's reference to Dracula's assistant and the Dracula.
That's reference to the Anne Rice novel.
Or in Dracula, he turns into a swarm of rats.
Right. Mm-hmm. Interview with the Vampire. Okay, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, yeah.
All
yeah.
right. Well, I tell you what, Czar, we ran over, brother. And for the people, out there that don't believe that vampires walk among us, what would you tell them?
We're just like anybody else. And honestly, we do have groups that are trying to do serious scientific and medical research to find out why we feel the way we feel, what's going on with us, why it's going on with us. So understand, we are trying to get to the bottom of our condition and try to figure out what's going on. But you're not going to convince us we're not what we are. Mm-hmm. Period. So that being said, realize when you see me walk down the street, I'm not wearing Victorian Edwardian dress. 9 times out of 10, I'm in jeans and a T-shirt. I shop like everybody else. I have pets. I walk dogs. I throw a Frisbee with my 13-year-old nephew.
Yeah.
But, we're regular people just like everybody else. We just have one major difference.
Right.
We have that extra need that you don't have. And if you wonder why a lot of vampires are sensitive to solar energies, think about this. Energies are the way of everything. So that being said, what is the sun? Big ball of fiery energy in sky. So yeah, we are susceptible to the ebb and flow of energy, but that's how psychic vampires learn to feel out what energies they need. That's how sanguine vampires transfer the ingested blood. That's how elemental elemental feeders do it. That's how everybody does it. Everything you ingest becomes a form of energy into your body.
Now, before we wrap up tonight, since this is a New Orleans, NOLA night, there's a few things I always like to give people tips about traveling to certain areas. First of all, I'm going to give you a chance to give a few people tips, but let's start with, it's not Mardi Gras, and someone gives you Mardi Gras beads. Do you walk down the street wearing them?
It's a sure sign that you are a tourist.
And you will
have 50 people ask you for money.
This was a lesson I learned my first trip.
It's okay to buy the beads. It's okay to be handed the beads. Don't wear them. It marks you as a tourist. It marks you as a mark. There
Next
are always
question.
people willing to take advantage of a mark.
Next question. You're walking down the street and someone compliments how much they like their shoes. What do you do?
Well, it's not compliment your shoes. They'll ask you, I bet I can tell where you got your shoes. You always say, on my feet in New Orleans.
I actually beat this once. Because my second trip to New Orleans, I was asked, where'd you get your I bet I can guess where you got your shoes. And I said, okay. And he said, bet you $20. And I said, okay. And he said, you got your shoes on your feet in New Orleans, on Bourbon Street, and went through the whole list. And I said, that's great. These aren't my shoes. And
That worked.
he wasn't happy.
Yeah, he lost $20.
No, he had to shine my shoes for free.
Yeah, there you
But
go.
my pocket got picked later that day, so it all worked out.
Hey, Czar, what about the vampires that claim they've been alive for 500 years? Things like that. What do you think about that? Nuts or real?
My honest opinion,
Yeah.
seek professional guidance.
A vampire.
In all honesty, there is no evidence supporting this claim in any way, shape, or form. If that were the case, there would be historical documentation already on other people living well beyond the 120 mark.
Yeah.
And there is none.
I love the 120 mark.
Yeah. One thing I forgot to ask, what about the levels? What about I hate to sound ignorant here, what about the king of the vampires? There has to be levels, leaders,
No.
scouts.
No. Understand, like I said, what flies in one area doesn't fly in another area.
Sure.
New Orleans is very go with the flow. There is no one ruler. And if you look at the whole vampire community, there's no one person anybody in the vampire community would agree with being the overall leader of the community.
All right.
So this is one of the myths and fantasies that come about, and it's something that really needs to be put in the grave.
Hey, I got to say, one time I was down there. I was down in New Orleans a lot, actually, and I'd ran into a gentleman, and I started talking to him, and he told me that he was a werewolf. He had a ring on. He had said he wasn't trying to get money or anything. He could have been mentally ill. I don't know. But I never, and I tried to look online to book a guest that claimed he was a werewolf. And this guy had swore that he goes through transformations during the full moon, things like that. Are there groups of werewolves that walk in New Orleans, walk the streets, and do you guys have dealings with them? How do you guys get along with them if they do exist?
Understand, NOVA, the New Orleans Vampire Association, may be an association of vampires.
Right.
However, we don't deny Therians, other kin, or any of the other related systems out there. We don't deny them. And most of the people who you would call werewolves or were leopards or were tigers or were any of the wares.
Okay, you're getting a little too True Blood there, but okay.
Yeah.
They're going by Therian.
Therian.
Yeah, Therian.
Therian. What is that?
Therianthropy.
Oh, okay, it's like lichen.
It's the classic name for lycanthropy.
Now, are these shapeshifters?
Lycanthropy generally tended to only include wolf forms.
Okay. Are these people actually shapeshifters? Are the Rougarou, all those things? Do you believe that stuff exists? I'm not closed to anything. I'm open to anything. But what do you believe, Czar?
My belief?
Yes.
The myths came from somewhere. They might have been real at one time. Whether they're still real or not, I don't know. I've not bumped into anybody who told me he's a Rougarou.
There you go. We went looking
now,
for him,
if you do, will you tell us? Because we'd really like to interview them.
It depends on whether he gives me permission or not.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Or she.
Yeah, because you can't find them anywhere online. Dude, I tried the research, and you just can't get them, man. But I tell you what, Czar, that's the world of the vampire is fascinating, and it's always going to captivate the people because,
We've even got people like Dr. Joseph Laycock, who has written a book called Vampires Today, who discusses the modern vampire community. We got Dr. John Edgar Browning, who's written several articles on vampirism. We got Dr. DJ Williams, who's done studies on vampirism and deviant behaviors. He wants people to understand. He wants people to understand that just because it's deviant doesn't mean it's wrong.
Okay.
Deviant just means not mundane, not what people who walk around in the normal world would consider normal. That's it.
All right. Well, that's it, man. I tell you, that's all the questions I got, Nathan, for Czar. What do you think?
I am all good. I'd just like to finish up with one last New Orleans question saying, what would be your best tip to people coming to visit New Orleans, Czar?
Walk in groups of 4 or more.
Yeah, I've walked through the ghetto at night alone. I'd have to agree with that.
Put your wallet in your sock. All the above. Anyway, let's say we pay the bills. Czar, could you hold on the line, brother?
Sure.
Where can our listeners find out more about you, more about Nova? Maybe some out there want to join. How do they find out about it?
NewOrleansVampireAssociation.org.
All right. Can they find out?
The easiest way to find all of us. We are also on Facebook. You can find the New Orleans Vampire Community hosted by Nova or the New Orleans Vampire Association.
I wonder if they're not from New Orleans. Wonder if they're in Indiana, Kentucky, places like that. You guys?
We got people from around the globe in the community page.
All right. Well, there you go, Nathan.
I'd have to throw this last tip out, too, to folks that are traveling to New Orleans. If you're walking down the street and you see somebody tap dancing and you don't want to give them money, don't stop and look.
That's it. That's it. Or bands. Okay, Zara.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, brother, for coming on the line. Vampires, Nathan, roam the streets with us. They are our neighbors, and it will always captivate the world, I think.
Well, I've told people for years, if you've ridden on a bus or an airplane more than once, you've probably ridden with a vampire.
Well, there you go. All right, what do you say we pay the bills?
Sounds good.
All right, sorry. Stay on the line 1 second. All right, guys, you hear the music. Special thanks to all our homes, all our sponsors, Stitcher Smart Radio, Planet Paranormal, Paranormal A in Canada. Thanks to everybody. Attentive Home Healthcare, that's AttentiveHHC.com, the SYL Project. Give some love, share some love. Hey, everybody needs love, guys. You can check us out on YouTube, iTunes, Spreaker. Hey, we're everywhere. From the hunted back roads of America, this has been another exclusive G&D Show interview. Don't go changing America. You know we won't. Demon Hunter.
Because we love you.
Night, guys.